Hi, Mark Nicholls here with another information security video. In today's video, we're going to talk about security recruitment, or actually probably the problem with security recruitment and why is it so hard to get decent talent. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a drink and let's get started. So we hear it all the time, there's a massive cyber skills shortage and it's really hard to get decent talent into the hundreds, thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of vacant security roles. But is it maybe our fault as hiring managers? Let me explain a bit. So I've been hiring people into security roles for a long time now, and I've interviewed maybe hundreds, possibly 1,000 people for various different roles. And there are good people out there, and sometimes it's really, really hard to find those people. It can be like finding a needle in a haystack. But I've started to self-reflect a bit, and I think we as hiring managers and our organisations are part of the problem. We're guilty of creating job specs that, let's be honest, we're looking for unicorns. You've got to have 20 years experience, you've got to have all the certifications, CISP, CISM, and don't forget you've got to be able to program as well. And this is just for a junior security analyst role. And we're only going to pay you £20,000. It's not really attractive, and let's be honest, is there anyone out there that can fill those types of roles? No. We need to start being more realistic about what we need in terms of people to secure our organisations. What does the perfect security function look like as an enterprise capability? So let's explore that a bit more. So diversity, I think, is really important when building a security function. I like to make sure my teams effectively represent the organisation they're trying to protect. And what I mean by that is, I don't want a load of programmers in my security function if we're not a software house. Maybe our core business is manufacturing. I need probably business partners. And what I mean by that is people who can go out to the business, talk their language, understand what they're trying to do as a function, and then build the appropriate security controls around that. So how do you go about finding these people? Well, let's be honest, they're not traditional security folk when we're building these diverse functions. Don't get me wrong, there is still value in adding security engineers, security analysts, but some of the best hires I've made have been from non-tech backgrounds. Let me give you an example. I recently hired a ex-police officer. Well, he was still employed as a police officer at the time, and he was working for a police force where his core role was investigating cybercrime and fraud, but he also had part of a sort of a side of a desk type job where he would go out to businesses and advise them on what's the best thing to do to keep them safe, from the standard sort of typical breaches and crimes that we see on a daily basis, so things like business email compromise or advanced CEO fraud. So I knew him through a mutual contact and we started chatting, and I could see passion, real passion to do the right thing and to protect people and business. So I got him in for a chat, and I could tell he was going to fit in really well, and offered him a job as an information security officer. And his core function was to go out to the business, talk to them, understand what they're trying to do, and then secure them in the best way. His tech skills weren't great, but I can teach tech. I can't teach passion. And he also led on our security awareness program. And I'm going to talk about that in a later video. But he was probably one of my most successful hires, and I took a chance. Someone who has never been in a security role, not come from tech, and I took a real chance on him, but he was brilliant. And I was so sad to see him go, but unfortunately for personal reasons he needed to move to an organisation that was closer to his home because he was commuting 2 hours a day each way. He's now gone on to be head of group security for a large logistics firm. I'm very proud to have been a small part of his journey there. So I think what I'm trying to say is, look outside your usual recruitment pools. There are people out there who are very good, very passionate, but they're not going to fit your standard job description that you're writing. So rip it up. Let's tear up the job descriptions. And now let's talk about the process. So if you've ever sat on the candidate side of the table, you'll realise that the information security recruitment process is horrible, let's be honest. And I apologise if I've ever made it horrible for anyone out there watching these videos. That's not my intention at all. And I think it's broken, and we need to rip it up like we do with the job descriptions and start again. Let's get rid of the automatic keyword systems that most of our recruitment partners use to filter out CVs, because that's what they effectively do. They do filter out CVs. I don't want to sit there as a hiring manager and look at hundreds and hundreds of CVs, but that said, I don't want to filter out CVs that maybe just have that bit of something, that X factor that I need to see and I need to make a decision on. So yes, it's going to be a lot of hard work, but you need to craft an advert so that you get the right people in, so you can get a manageable number of CVs that you as a hiring manager can sit there and read and look at and understand where that person's come from. So rather than put out recruitment pages where you've got the job description, put up an advert, ask the questions. Do you have passion for information security? Can you talk to people irrespective of their level in the organisation and their technical expertise about security? A good one here is email encryption or secure email. Describe that to someone who's maybe never even dealt with secure email. So I like to say normal email is like a postcard. So on all its journey, it can be read. And I like to think secure email, you've put that postcard in an envelope. So you've added a layer of security, and it's not 100% secure, it can be broken, but with most security controls that is the case. But it adds a layer of security, and it's better than doing nothing. Once you've got those list CVs and you get it down to a short list, let's talk about the interview. Interviews are horrible. Let's sit either side of a desk and have a formal conversation. No, I'd like to have a conversation. And the way I do that is I build the questions I ask around scenarios, because it's easier to have a conversation about a scenario than it is to ask just yes and no type questions, or questions that have a definite right answer or a definite wrong answer. So one of the scenarios I use, and this looks at people's ability to communicate, and it also looks at their analytical skills and also looks at their technical skills, is to show them an email. Typically one of these emails where the user's password has been put in the subject line to grab the attention, and then it goes on to say, I've recorded you on webcam doing naughty things, and if you don't give me half a Bitcoin, I'm going to share that video with all your contacts. And this email's gone to the Chief Financial Officer, and they are distraught, and they are really upset, they're worried. What do you do? How are you going to deal with that? And I'm looking for empathy, I'm looking for understanding, I'm looking for people to go through it and recognise that it's a scam email. I'm looking for people to know that yes, this is a common case where password reuse comes into play, and the password has been stolen from a large data breach, so something like the LinkedIn data breach or an Adobe data breach, and then it's put into the email for one reason, to grab the person's attention, draw them in so they think it's real. It's those types of scenario-based questions I get the most out of it. And yes, I do understand in some organisations you do need to take notes from an HR perspective, and this is to show fairness and also for transparency if there's feedback required. But you can still do that in a conversation. And why do we need to have it in a formal meeting room across the table? Why can't we go somewhere comfortable? Maybe the restaurant or cafeteria, or maybe do it outside if the weather's nice. So it's those type of things that we need to do to make the process easier and to attract the right people in. And then once they're hired, people are on long notice periods. Get the person in, come in for a coffee, meet a team, spend some time in the office. Of course, if it's mutually agreeable with the organisation they're leaving. But for most people that say are on a 3-month notice period, you've got to maintain that contact, because people soon forget things, and it gets a bit weird sometimes if you haven't spoken to someone in 3 months and then all of a sudden they join your team. So I hope this video has helped you in terms of understanding what we need to do to maybe fix the cybersecurity talent / recruitment process, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day.